A great American turns out also to have been a great Ghanaian, and this museum site is a site of where those two things came together, where this great American lived for the last couple of years of his life in Ghana, and as a Ghanaian, he became a Ghanaian citizen at the end of his life. And that's symbolic of a wider pattern, right, of movement within the African diaspora, of people moving back and forth from Africa and the Old World to the Caribbean and to the United States, North America and Latin America. And that circulation has created one of the world's great diasporas. And this is a great site in that diaspora. So I think it's important for all kinds of people. It's important for people who are interested in the possibility of heritage tourism, going back to Ghana, as it were, as African Americans or Afro-Caribbean people. It's important for scholars because Dr. Du Bois was arguably the first great American sociologist, certainly one of the great founders of the study of African history. He wrote, most people don't know that Dr. Du Bois wrote a Harvard dissertation in African history, and it was the first ever Harvard dissertation to be published on any subject in history. So he was a foundational figure in the development of the study of Africa in the New World, because he was a great scholar.
If he was alive today, and he saw things like the Continental Free Trade Agreement and things of Africa coming together, all and not just the economic part, but also the cultural unity, and also the Black Lives Matter movement. What do you think he would say today about all of this?
I think he'd say about what's going on now what he said about Brown v. Board of Education, which is, I've seen the impossible happen. The dream of the Pan-Africanists was to bring Africa and the diaspora together, and its dream in Africa was the dream of African unity, which was embodied already in Du Bois's time in the Organization of African Unity, which turned into the African Union. His project in Ghana, the one that brought him there, the one that Nkrumah helped to get financed, the one that gave him the house that we're celebrating, was a project of the Organization of African Unity. It was an Encyclopedia Africana supported by the then independent African states. So he would be delighted. He was in favor of African unity, not necessarily in the sense of creating a single African state any more than those of us who are in favor of internationalism and the UN think that everybody should become part of one country. But in terms of building links, economic links, political links, cultural links, I think he'd be delighted with much that has happened. And, the conversation among African intellectuals, poets, novelists, dramatists, academics these days is very continent-wide. It's not. There are, of course, conversations in particular countries, but the African Academy is an open and increasingly interconnected place, and he would be delighted about that too. And one thing that can happen at this center as we develop it is that it should be the site of meetings of scholars interested in Africa and the diaspora from all over Africa and, of course, the diaspora.
As an academic, how do you see the center being used?
Well, I think that the best way to let these sort of places develop is to let it be a little bit organic, not to be too tied to any particular agenda. We're still in the process of just designing the physical spaces, and doing that you have to think about what you're going to do in them. But I'm imagining a place, yes, where scholarship, conferences, also where the people can come and stay to do research in Ghana, including using the materials of the Du Bois collection that's already there. So I'm imagining that as something to happen. But I think it also should be a museum open to young Ghanaians and to Ghanaians of all ages, but especially I think to young Ghanaians, so that they can connect with this very important part of the history of the diaspora, in which Accra really plays a central role. It was Nkrumah's invitations, not just to Dr. Du Bois, but to Maya Angelou, another great African American intellectual, poet, novelist, writer, to Maurice Condé, who came from Martinique to spend time living in Ghana in the 60s. And there was a whole community of people from the diaspora who came. And they were centered around the Du Boises in the early 60s. So that history is an important part of the history of Ghana, as well as of the diaspora, because Ghana played that special role in those early Nkrumah years. And what the President Akufo-Addo has done, in a way, is to resurrect that dream by inviting African Americans to come as heritage tourists to Ghana. Many African Americans, of course, have ancestry from all over the continent. So it's not literally coming home, but it's coming home symbolically, as Du Bois did. I mean, I think Du Bois thought of himself as having symbolically come home.